Hi gang, welcome back to the Honorary Latina. Tonight's segment is all about kids. The reason why I'm on this topic is today I was filling out job applications and I applied for this child care position. And I went in there and it was absolutely wonderful. They were playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow and I just wanted to cry because my daughter was in the high school production and she was Glinda the Good Witch. And well, one of the songs was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. When I did my activism, I always felt that I was Dorothy and our county commissioners were the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. And I felt like I was on this journey, to talk to the wizard who was our governor, who was this invincible and, hid behind that little curtain and was all powerful and all knowing. One of the things that I really love doing, and the reason why I don't have a lot of job experience on my resume, is because of being a stay-at-home mommy. And I loved it because I was able to take my kids to extracurricular activities, and we partook in plays, and I have 4 wonderful kids. And one of my children actually went to college, and he got his degree at Grinnell, and he got out and he couldn't find work, so he became a bartender. He was the best darn bartender that anybody ever seen, and he was fabulous at it because he loves people like me, and everybody loves Charlie. He finally got a job with a mortgage company, and I'm so proud. He's studying and he's learning and he's going to be absolutely fabulous. And my other daughter, who received her 2-year degree while she was still in high school, we went to school together and took the same courses. How fun is that? She got out of high school and she went into the meditative healing and is getting her license, and she's going to become a healer. I love that. I'm really proud of Dani. And then I have William. William was my kid who struggled with learning disabilities. He could figure out a computer. He could order computer parts off the internet. He could build his own computer. He could build anything. Yet he flunked out of 2 high schools, one in Oregon and one here in Florida. But he rocked the FCAT. Woohoo! Hey, you know what? William is brilliant. And I am so sorry that Florida didn't see the brilliance in this autistic kid who had high function in Asperger's, who's absolutely fabulous, and he could do anything. In fact, he was so innovative and so creative that in middle school we got a call from the principal. Yes, I got this call, Mrs. Sutton, your son is in trouble. And I said, well, what did William do? And he says, well, he started his own business here at school. And I said, well, what did he do? He says, well, he lent the kids money for the snack shack. And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And then he turned around and he said, but he charged them $1 in interest. So he was actually lending them $1 for their snacks, and then the next day they had to pay him $2. Well, okay, I get William home, and I'm having a little mother-son talk, and I said, William, what got into you? Why would you do such a thing? And he says, Mom, these bankers do that. I'm just doing what they do. They gouge people for a lot of money, and I just wanted to charge these people interest. And I said, well, I can't argue with that. So a little time period had passed, and I saw William working like crazy on the computer and typing, and I walked up behind him and I said, honey, what are you doing? Are you writing a report or you have homework? Because William never did homework. And he says, no, I'm doing my new business. And I said, well, what is it? So he prints it out, and I get this printed copy, and he just says the most god-awful things about people. And I said, what exactly is this, William? And he goes, it's my new newspaper. And I said, but you're saying horrible things about people. And he said, well, Mom, you buy the Enquirer and the Star, and they don't say nice things about people, so why should I? I'm just starting my new business. You know, he didn't get his high school diploma, but William has this very entrepreneur spirit about him, and you gotta love it. I have my last child who was injured in a car accident, and she suffered nerve damage to her right hand and her left hand and her right arm and her left arm, and she couldn't even feed herself, but she loves food so much that she willed that right arm to work. And it works pretty darn good because she's nice and hardy. Not only is she hardy, she's a wonderful, talented artist. And she won first place in the county fair in 5 different categories this last fair. Now, I have to say about my kids, they're all different each in their own way. But the greatest accomplishment I ever did was be a stay-at-home mother, to nurture and help them grow to be the wonderful people that they are. And I love that about Ann Romney. I mean, she didn't have like this fancy career, or she didn't go outside the family, but she has 5 fabulous boys who are just wonderful citizens and the pillars of the community. So our next point is we have people running for the candidacy, and we have Jeb Bush as the front runner. And you know, I was at the Republican meeting yesterday, and somebody gave this lecture on how we can't cut off our noses to spite our faces. Well, no, we can't. But we have to like come together as a party and support the front runner. And I understand that. But I wonder, you know, how it's going to help our community and help people in this country when you're continually reaching out and helping those from other countries. I know that we're becoming a global society, and I know that a lot of people across the globe don't have it as good as we do. But I always wondered about how I see people profiting, and then I would look back on their whatever they were profiting on, and I would see global this and global that and global this and global that. And I wondered why everything was global. So when we were working with our kids, and there used to be a thing called the TAG program. TAG stands for Talented and Gifted Program. I went to one of the schools up in Portland, and I'm like losing track of the name right now, but we went up there and we did this day trip, and I went with Tori, who actually was a wonderful advocate for TAG, and she had some amazing kids too, and her last name was Kirkpatrick, and I sat behind her, and we both have ADHD, and we had to work in groups, and we were so off task, and it was so bad that, I mean, I knocked down a display case, and she tripped over an object that was right in the middle of the street and almost, you know, went ass over tea kettle. Although those kids really benefited from us in leadership, because although we were a little bit spaced out and all over the place, and we didn't have our act together, and all the other parents seemed to just glide through everything, we had little breakout sessions. And one of the sessions that we had was all on globalization and the jihad terrorists. Well, that's just really great, because the kids weren't a part of that, but we were. So we're learning all about jihad, you know, through this school, and how prevalent and how much it's going to impact our society. And it was so interesting. This was like a long time ago, and they were talking about how it would be here in this country, and how we really had to fight against it, and what we had to do to prevent the terrorist cells coming into this country. And it would be interesting if more kids were able to think on that higher level, to really understand and grasp what truly is going on here, because as we're thinking, you know, we can have a kumbaya moment with the border being open. One of the things that I tell my kids is that for every person that comes to this country that gets free health care or free education, it means that you're going to have to work a few more hours in your entrepreneur business or in whatever you do, pay a little more taxes, delay your ability to have children so that they can have lots of kids off your dime. And I was just wondering what Jeb Bush would think about all this, because I know that, I'm sure he wants to pride himself on really reaching the American dream. I'm just wondering how the DREAM Act and granting the amnesty for all those illegal aliens is going to protect us from all the terrorism that's coming across here. And I'm just wondering, when we pick a front runner, what kind of attributes do we look for? Do we look for the person with the most money, or do we look for the person with the most character? Because you know what, I really not only am looking to winning, but I'm looking to picking the right candidate. And I know that although a lot of people are not going to agree with me on Mitt Romney, but I felt, because I met him in person, I met his family, I worked a campaign for him, sat with his A-team, and even had him buy me dinner. And I knew that, because of his finance background and because of his integrity, that, you may not agree with everything that he does, but I know he was a good family man and he's a good, decent person. I'm praying and I'm hoping that having another Bush would not be like the predecessors before him, who just seem to just open the doors for everybody that comes into this country at the expense of everybody else. Because we do have a really big problem here. And I value education so much so that I want to preserve the public education and the system that we have there for people that can't afford private. I want the flexibility of charter schools, but I don't think that the people that are the worst functioning, or the people that can't seem to have the discipline, should get that opportunity. Nor do I think it's okay for the teachers to continue on as they are doing with promoting this whole socialism way of thinking, because you know what, not everybody is going to think along those same lines. I think we have to have a good blend of government and capital. I think that we have to obey the Constitution. It's there for a reason. I think we ought to teach it in the public schools. And most of all, I think the world would be a better place if more of us stayed at home and raised our kids instead of shoving them off into daycare. And with that said, I would be a perfect daycare attendant or person, because I understand what it's like to nurture a child and foster that creativity. And I really feel bad when people are forced out to have to work in order to support people that don't work at all. And with that said, I hope I give you guys some food for thought, and God bless. And if you like this, forward it on to your friends, and keep watching. Thanks, and have a great evening.